Right, welcome all to the Aragon Community Call number 4. It is a pleasure to see you all again this month. We've had lots of news in the last month, and today I'm excited to have Ramon, who's our head of product, and Daniel, our head of governance, who are both going to be presenting. I'll be your host today. I'm Alex. I run Transparency at the Aragon Network. As we run through the community call today, let us know any questions that you have in the YouTube chat or in our general channel on Discord. Just a quick, before we jump in, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay up to date with all the Aragon community calls. We'll also be having more activity on the YouTube channel in the coming months, so it's definitely worth staying up to date. But at the agenda, so today we are going to have both presentations and then a Q&A with Ramon and Daniel and myself at the end. I'll then run through some other announcements that we have coming up, and we should finish around 6:50, 6:55. So from Ramon, he's going to take us through a number of product updates along with a couple of exciting announcements. So really looking forward to that. And then we have a presentation of Daniel, who's going to be taking us through the next steps on decentralizing the Aragon network, which I know many community members will be very interested in. But first, what I thought I would do is, you'll have seen that we've had a lot of fantastic new content being put out. One of the articles, 15 Ways the World is Being Transformed by DAOs. If you haven't seen this yet, please go and check it out. It's an amazing article. But in this theme, I thought I would just run through some of the use cases that were highlighted in that article from DAOs in the Aragon network that we've had news from this month. So in the theme of insurance, we have Inouye, who are the world's first risk trading reinsurance platform, who'll be launching their DAO on Aragon. In the theme of venture capital, we have Stacker Ventures, who have launched their Fund 1. Stacker Ventures, for those of you who don't know, is an open protocol for seed stage investing that aligns the incentives of the community investors with promising projects. They are an Aragon DAO. Next up, we have elimu, and the purpose of elimu.ai community is to provide disadvantaged children with access to quality basic education. So worldwide, more than 387 million children of primary school age are not achieving minimum proficiency levels in reading and math. And the elimu community are looking to solve this problem. They're going to be DAO powered by Aragon. And then finally, news from this month, Developer Collective API 3 is a service that provides data feeds to blockchain-based smart contracts. API 3's so-called authoritative DAO has been built using the Aragon DAO creation platform. I thought I would just jump in and share some of that exciting news of the month. Obviously, lots more DAOs using Aragon and lots more news. If there are any DAOs that you think we should be following, put them into the YouTube channel and let us know, and we'll have a look. But I will now welcome Ramon to the stage, and who's going to run us through some of the product news, product updates, along with an announcement that I know a lot of the Aragon community have been waiting for. So Ramon, welcome.
Well, thanks a lot, Alex. Nice to be here. As usual, happy to have some community members watching and excited to share some product updates with you. Today, we don't have any actual release, but we are pretty close to release some stuff over the next month. So just going to update you all on what we are doing so far. First thing that I would like to tell you, everyone, we now have a public roadmap that is accessible, of course, by anyone. Since it's public, you can just go to aragon.org/roadmap to take a look. The idea is that we can be much more transparent with all the community on what are the things that we are working, what are the things that we are learning, doing user research, receiving some feedbacks, talking to customers, talking to users. It's quite exciting, a lot of stories that we've been hearing. And of course, not only being able to show the community what we are finding out, but also really get the community more engaged with us. And hopefully you can also provide what are the problems or the hypotheses that you want to figure out nowadays that you think are important for DAOs, and we can add to this roadmap. Important to mention at this point in time, the way to add stuff to the roadmap is quite, let's say, old school. You just email product@aragon.org and we can discuss if it makes sense, if it's important. But we do have plans to make these way more automated, way more interesting and awesome for you to participate. So I want to sort of show you guys what is the planned workflow that we do hope to release as soon as possible. So the idea is that we collect a lot of problems and hypotheses that we want to validate with user research, discovery work, and feedback that we receive, and of course, things that the community can propose. Twice per quarter, we are going to take a look at these problems and hypotheses, and we're going to prioritize what is the most important things that we think, and we really want input from the community as well, meaning you power to tell us, hey, this is a really important problem that I think Aragon should be working. And of course, since this is public, the community can try to work on them as well. Then after we prioritize, we go into the regular product development flow of ideation, solution generation, and we do the product development work. At this point in time, you might be thinking, okay, so you are just showing me a regular work of a product team, and you are terrible in like creating slides. You just left a lot of space there, but there's a reason. Because this is the part that you're really getting interesting, and that hopefully we can do this soon. We really want the community to be able to work together with us. So we are going to implement a program through the Aragon Network DAO that Daniel is going to talk a little bit about today, where the community can apply for grants, and the community itself can decide if this is a solution that makes sense, that was proposed for the grant, and can run votes and say, okay, this grant makes sense for this team to really develop this because it's awesome for our users, for our customers. So we do hope to get this workflow running as soon as possible. But anyway, you already have the public roadmap. Feel free to go there, take a look at what we have, and please just email us if you think something should be added to our roadmap. Next on product updates, we have the KPI option reward. What is it? Sort of complicated, but it's not. This is a reward program for when we release Aragon Govern. We really want to incentivize people to migrate from Aragon Client to Aragon Govern for DAOs that think that this new model makes sense for them. So as soon as we release Govern, we also release this program. Quickly explaining how does it work. It works with some synthetic KPI options that were created by our friends at UMA, which are our partners. And when you migrate your DAO to a governed DAO, you will earn a certain amount of KPI options. That when you earn, of course, they are worth nothing because they are options that should be exercised, that you will use in the future. And when the expiry date comes, they are actually converted into ANT that we are going to distribute to those DAOs that did the migration. We lock it 100K ANT for this program, and we are aiming to have 100 million in assets under management migrated to an Aragon Governed DAO, to many Aragon Governed DAOs, and we issued 1 million KPI options for that. Those options will expire on the end of September, meaning that if you migrate to your DAO before that and you earn the options on the end of September, you can convert them into ANT. Important, only DAOs that were created before May 14th, which is when we did the second vote about that, and you can read more on our blog about this KPI option program. Only those DAOs are eligible for this reward program. Trying to explain a little bit better how does this actually work. Imagine that on the left side, the first graph, it's the amount of options versus the amount of assets that you migrated in your DAO. So if you migrated, for example, $25 million, you will earn 250K options. And if you migrated $100 million with your quite big DAO, I would say, you earn all the options that we have available. Many DAOs can do that, of course, and the actual value of the option will depend on the amount of assets that were migrated. So let's look at scenario number 1 to try to exemplify the situation. You migrate $1 million of your Aragon client DAO to an Aragon governed DAO, you receive 100K options. No other DAOs migrate. At the expiry date, your option will be worth 0.001 ANT, which means that you would receive 100 ANT, looking at the second graph. But now, scenario 2, imagine that you migrate the same amount of assets under management, the 1 million, but other DAOs also migrated, summing up to $20 million in assets under management in Govern. This means that the option actually are worth 0.02 ANT, which means you receive 2,000 ANT. What does this mean? That if we incentivize and you talk to your colleagues that have DAOs to migrate as well, it's better for everyone, options will be worth more, and you will earn more ANT in the end. This is quite the summary, but you can read more in the blog, and we are going to give more information for sure during the upcoming weeks, as soon as we actually do the official reward program. And now you're asking, okay, but how do I participate? When this is live, your Aragon client DAO will have this top banner that is not really visible in the slide, but anyway, the top part saying, hey, you are eligible for our reward program, apply now. You click there, you will be led to a page with the instructions on what you need to do, but in the end, it will be quite simple. Create your governed DAO, fill some information, and enroll into the program. So this was the second update. Let's go to the third update, multi-chain. We know that multi-chain is now a reality. We have this rise of many blockchain solutions on layer 2 and a lot of new solutions appearing. So we first ran just a quick Twitter survey, let's say, if the community would be interested in deploying DAOs in other chains. We actually got a lot of response from that, and we've been receiving a lot of requests from customers that they would like to have Aragon in other chains. So we decided, yeah, it's more than time for us to go into this direction as well. So we are currently working first in making both Aragon Client and Aragon Voice what I'm calling chain responsive, meaning that you go to the same application and you can change the chain that you are connected, and you can deploy your DAO in other chains once we support these other chains, making quite easier to just use a single application instead of going to different URLs. And once this is ready, the first chain that we are going to deploy both for client and for voice, it will be Polygon. And then, of course, we want to deploy in many other chains. You are more than invited to join our Discord channel, to give your opinion, to ask for more chains, to get involved, and to help us to deploy into other chains as well. This was our third announcement. Fourth product announcement, I talked a little bit about user research, about discovery programs. We've been talking to a lot of customers, a lot of DAO administrators, DAO members, and now we have this survey that is online for both DAO creators and members to answer. A really quick survey. It will take you like 5 minutes to reply, but it will be quite important for us to also help us figuring out what are the most important things that you want to see in Aragon. What are your biggest pain points at the moment when interacting with DAOs? So please go to aragon.org/UX-research and answer our survey. I would be really, really happy if you can do that. Then you are asking, okay, when all of this is live, when Govern is live, when the KPI options are live, when multi-chain is live, and the answer is on the next slide. All of these will be live soon, basically. I love the question when mainnet. I cannot give you any specific date nowadays, but I promise all of this is happening quite soon. The release of Govern, the release of Core, KPI options, multi-chain, etc. Last but not least, and you have no idea how happy I am to give you this news. A miracle happened today. The ANJ conversion with the better rate is live. ANJ holders, go now to upgrade.aragon.org. Do your conversion, get your ANT that will be staked in court, become a guardian. Your new ANT will be locked until October 5. which is quite near, by the way, and you can help us make an awesome release of Aragon Core as well. So yeah, awesome. Go there. If you have any problem, let us know. But hopefully nothing wrong is going to happen because I already did. And that's it for product updates for today. Thanks a lot. Please send your questions on YouTube, on the general channel, and happy to reply to them in the end of this community call.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ramon. And yeah, I know how excited everyone will be about the ANJ announcement. So that's fantastic. Really pleased that has happened today. I forgot to say at the beginning, you'll see below all the links that we're talking about during this call. So if you are interested in anything we're talking about, you can jump down there and follow the links, or I'm sure they're all getting posted into the chat as we're going along as well. But without further ado, I will welcome up Daniel to the stage, who is going to present the next steps on decentralizing the Aragon network, another really important project. I'm excited to hear what Daniel has got to say. Hi, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Alex. Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Some of you know I joined the Aragon Association team roughly 2 months ago, and one of the main responsibilities of my job has been facilitating our decentralization process. And so now we're at the stage where I can start to share some news and information with you guys of how things are looking. So we're gonna start very soon. The idea is to launch this as soon as possible, but to launch what I'm calling an experimental DAO, and then we'll use that DAO to start slowly, progressively transferring funds and giving more power to that DAO, and running a range of community initiatives so we can decentralize a lot of our operations and empower the community to participate, to contribute, and equally to be rewarded for participating and contributing. So starting with baby steps, in this quarter, we're hoping to, by the end of the quarter, to be able to launch an MVP version of this DAO. And as I was saying, we'll develop and iterate and progressively transfer more funds and power, probably starting with a very small sum, but going into the hundreds of millions over the next 2-3 years. And so when thinking about the DAO, one of the main questions I've been asking myself, and that happens a lot in this space, is the constant discussions between representative democracy or direct democracy, meaning should we have a sort of council that makes decisions on behalf of the community and they're elected by the community, or should the community be making decisions by themselves, putting forward the proposals and voting? And every day we're seeing different arguments, different situations come in favor of one or the other. So when approaching these, I started to look at the different options. And when we think about a more representative model, some of the advantages are continuity, in that there is a team that is permanent or semi-permanent, so they can look from one issue to the other, they can go deep into the details, can do that sort of knowledge transfer. And equally, you have a lower cost per decision because there is a smaller amount to be involved. So on one side, that can be gas fees, although we're already addressing that issue already with Aragon Voice. You can do gasless voting, but beyond the cost of gas, a more significant cost quite often is the time that people need to spend to gain context, to understand what's going on, to get into the details and to make a decision. And more opportunity to make a decision is very expensive, which means we can make only very few decisions simultaneously. Otherwise, it gets very noisy and people start getting lost. On the other side, the advantage of direct democracy model is that there is no intermediaries, meaning there can be a better signal-to-noise ratio for the interest of the community. So the model is better at surfacing what people truly desire. And as well, it encourages participation as it empowers people to make decisions. They don't have to ask for permission. It's not a spectator game, but a participative game. And equally, it encourages people to keep up with what's going on in the DAO and so on. And the answer to a little bit to this question, at least what I think would be a really interesting answer, and I'm going to be putting forward some documents. I'm sharing them on our Discord channel, so you can check them up, join the discussion, send me feedback, and so on. But what I think is a really interesting approach is what it can be called a ¿por qué no los dos?, which translates to why not both? And coming from some of the leading minds in governance research that have been looking, for example, at the governance model of the European Union, where the idea of combining both representative and direct democracy is coming together, and as well more ideas coming from polycentric governance, meaning multiple decision-making centers that work together to make decisions. And there has been significant research in this area that shows that under the right conditions, multiple centers of decision-making can make better decisions than a single authority or a single leviathan that is making decisions on behalf of the people. So we're taking inspiration from some of these ideas, and as well the concept that we can see more traditional patterns, like in a tribe, you can have a chief and an elder, or in a kingdom, you have the king and the bishop, or in a democracy, you have the division of powers, to create this structure that is a little bit more complex at first sight, but actually enables a lot more capabilities for the DAO to function properly, for people to still be empowered, and to, in general, get the best from both worlds. So the way this ends up looking is, right now we have the Aragon Association, which is our Swiss association, and to whom we're working right now as the core team. We work as contractors. And then as well, we have the Vogdoni team that joined the Aragon family roughly in December, and who's working on the Vogdoni set of products. And within the Aragon Association, we have what I call a technology council, which is essentially our tech team that is deciding whether new code releases need to be audited, or whether it's a very simple, very basic release and there is no need to do an expensive third-party audit. So to this essential architecture, we're going to start adding what I call a main DAO. Again, this is going to start as an experiment, so it's going to start small, but then it's going to grow in importance. And this main DAO works with direct democracy. At the beginning, it's going to use a relatively simple model in that is one token, one vote. But over time, we can, with the infrastructure we have, we can already evolve these to start using other possibilities like quadratic voting and other modalities that I'll talk about at the end of the presentation, as well, more interesting voting methods for elections and so on. And so this main DAO, eventually the idea is for it to grow to hold the majority of the funds and the majority of the power, in the sense that this DAO can evolve and change how the whole network is operating. So it has the power to change the meta governance of the network. So in that sense, it works a little bit like a legislative power. And then that main DAO is gonna elect a few members to work in an executive DAO and to manage funds on behalf of the community, knowing that the treasury in between the main DAO and the executive DAO, there will be one treasury that is shared. So there is not only the executives who are delegated a budget, but actually can be managed as well by the community, and the community can put forward proposals on how those funds are operated. The executive DAO, they work as facilitators and also to fast track certain decisions that they deem to be important. And all of this is then secured by Aragon Court, with the idea that if anyone across these different organizations is making a decision that goes against the agreements of the Aragon network, against our community policies and so on, any member of the community can appeal to court to challenge those proposals, to challenge those actions, and get them stopped, and potentially get any attackers to lose their collateral. And naturally, we'll have the regular community platforms. We'll continue in Discord. We'll have our forum, Discord, Telegram, Twitter, etc. And in the future, we could envision other potential community platforms as well for discussion, sense-making, where we can start to evolve the proposals before they reach the decision-making stage and are attributed to one of the different decision-making mechanisms that we'll have, mainly the direct democracy in the main DAO, or a more representative democracy in the executive DAO. And then to close, just a few other ideas of where we can go with these over time to keep on evolving and iterating. We can include delegation to end up towards a more liquid democracy approach, where we can ideally also give the delegators the ability to add text-based feedback to those who they're delegating towards. So it serves to aggregate a richer set of insights rather than just one bite of you get delegated to or not, but you actually know why you're being delegated to. And that helps to improve the flow of information all across the system, even in a scenario of high amounts of delegation. And then as well, we can think about staking with voting power increase proportional to the time locked. That means that we could create a smart contract where the longer you stake your tokens, the more voting power you have. And this serves to align the interest of whales or those who really want to push a decision, to really align the interest with the long-term benefit of the community. As well, options for yield while staking to reduce the cost of participating in governance, and rather trying to shift it and make it more akin to what could happen if you were in other platforms, for example, in keeping those tokens in exchanges and so on. And as well as thinking as multiple thresholds for different types of actions. So if you're trying to make a decision that requires only a very small amount of funds to be transferred, that's very different from a decision on meta governance, where you're going to change the way the whole governance model works. So you could make the former with a small threshold and the latter with a significant higher threshold. So we'll as well be thinking on how we can create these set of incentives. Again, the infrastructure already allows this to a very good extent, but we will then have to develop it as well. So we have a very comprehensive, easy to use UI that can abstract away a lot of the complexity from this. And finally, as well, we can have different voting methods for different types of actions. So I was saying we can leverage quadratic voting, for example, for budgeting, and leverage Condorcet methods for elections, and play around with these different options so we can optimize for the specific type of action, the specific type of decision made, and use the whole governance set. So thank you very much. If you're interested to join this discussion, you can join our Discord channel, The Future of Governance. I'll be sharing some of the documentation there, answering questions. This is very much a work in progress, so we'll love to have your thoughts and your ideas and contributions. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Daniel. Really good presentation. It's really exciting to see the Aragon Network DAO coming along. Daniel, I'll keep you on stage, and Ramon, I'll welcome you back up again. We'll do a quick Q&A. You're trying to escape, Daniel, don't worry. And we'll jump into Q&A. So obviously, anyone who has any questions for Ramon or Daniel, or even for myself, let us know. But Ramon, I'll just quickly start with you. Obviously, A&J conversion, really exciting. When do users need to have added their A&J to receive the higher staking amount? Is there a deadline, or can it be any time up to October 5th?
No, there will be a deadline. We are still to have a fixed date. Most likely, this will be open for at least 1 month. So it's more than enough time for everyone to go there. So anyway, if I was holding any A&J, I would do it today, because finally. But it's not going to be open until October 5. We are going to close it before. So do it.
Brilliant. And then further to that, when you go to upgrade at Aragon, you don't see the page. What do you have to do to get it visible?
So when you go to the page, you will see a big blue button saying connect wallet. When you connect your wallet, it will bring the 3 types of conversions that we have nowadays: A&J to A&T, regular rate; A&J to A&T, the better rate that we will stake and you will become a guardian; and just the old conversion from A&T V1 to A&T V2, because some people are still to convert. Go to the middle one, A&J, A&T, better rate, and be happy.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ramon. Daniel, back to you. On the executive DAO, how do you foresee that being picked? Is that going to be an election? And how often do you think that would happen? What would the sort of epochs for that sort of election cycle be?
So I'm still thinking through the details of the proposal that I want to put forward for the community, but the main idea is yes, is going to be an election. Ideally, we would already have deployed the infrastructure from the get-go, and then we would use the main DAO to run that election. There will be essentially the permissions for the main DAO to make decisions on who's part of that council in a fairly liquid way, in that at any given point, a new member could be added or removed or replaced by someone else. But we would probably recommend, and this is what I'm thinking through, is recommend an election cycle where at least the members are confirmed now and then, because quite often triggering an election can feel like a daunting process. It's like, oh, I believe there might be someone better, but I don't want to make it look like this is a complete crisis or a direct attack to this person and so on. So having some regular cadence where these elections are naturally held, even though we have the extra liquidity, is still beneficial. But I'm exploring some data sets trying to look at what would be a good starting point to set this parameter.
And then on that DAO, on the DAO theme, on the product roadmap, Ramon, obviously, I know you showed the way for the community to get involved. Do you ever see voting as part of that sort of product update cycle? How do you foresee that sort of going?
The idea is, as soon as we have the Aragon Network DAO and we can structure everything with Aragon Voice, the plan is that the community can go there and create proposals. For example, hey, we think that this problem of vote delegation that we already know it's quite a problem. Vote delegation should be tackled, and if you get enough support in Aragon Voice, this becomes a ticket, a card in our public roadmap. Anyone in the community can then tackle and apply for grants, also creating a voice vote that will need a minimum support of the community as well. So this grant can be given by the Aragon Network DAO, all in a quite automated and awesome way. But we are still to get there. We are finishing defining the exactly workflow that we want to have. And of course, once we sort of have this initial draft of the workflow, we are going to approve this with the community and get the community feedback if everyone thinks that this makes sense.
Brilliant, fantastic. And then back to you again, Daniel. Sorry, I'm ping-ponging between you both, but hopefully everyone can keep up. Yeah, back to you, Daniel. On the governance question, obviously, quick question on the technological council. Is that going to be an election as well? And then further to that, do you see sort of any minimum participation within the sort of main DAO to make it work? Do we need sort of a critical mass of users, or is there too many users? Is there sort of a sweet spot from the user perspective?
Sure. So on the technological council, the idea, at least just for launch, let's saying for this quarter, is we're going to continue with the members of the Aragon Association who are already fulfilling those roles, and then hopefully in Q4, but perhaps in Q1 of the next year. Again, this roadmap is very tentative, as we'll have to see how things are playing out. At this moment, it's just a lot of assumptions, but the idea would be roughly around Q4 or perhaps Q1 next year to as well transition this tech council to an election model. Even later on down the line, we can as well think about transitioning what I call the moderator committee, which are essentially the people who have moderation admin permissions across the different community platforms. We can, in the future, even envision be given up for elections. Then, sorry, Alex, could you remind me the second question that was packed in there?
Is there a critical mass for the DAO to be sort of functional, and then is there a point where it becomes so overwhelming with number of users that it becomes unfunctional? Or are you structuring it in a way to avoid that problem occurring?
Sure. So for the beginning, the idea, what I think would be a good call is to make the thresholds very low, so we can actually function with a very small user base, knowing that as well we're going to be adding a range of technologies and tools to reward community participation. We've been thinking about maybe experimenting with Coordinate and SourceCred and a few other technologies that we're developing. So that will help us over time to increase participation in the DAO. And yeah, hopefully one day we have the problem of having way too many users for that. Then the approach there is twofold. On one side, we can start to leverage collective intelligence tools that facilitate in a way the conversation in a way that's more effective than a forum. Some of these tools are in early stages of development. I'm very excited and hoping to have more time next year to get deep in prototyping and developing some of these tools for what we hope one day will be even running a nation state as a DAO. There is already some interesting examples out there, like what Taiwan is doing and so on. So that's one solution, the community intelligence tools. The other side is the fractal or fractalization capability that we can have with the tech stack that we're building. So in the same way that we have one executive DAO that in a way is subservient or elected by the main DAO, we could have other sub-DAOs that specialize more in different topics. So it's a little bit early right now to say what those other sub-teams could be, but we could have different products the same way that, for example, Vogdoni came into the Aragon family. There could be a whole range of other DAOs that manage funds, but perhaps have no permission to manage the meta governance of the Aragon network directly. And that's another way through this nested structure to handle the complexity and the volume of conversations that could happen down the line.
Brilliant. And then final question for you, Daniel, before we move on. Obviously, the way you think about the Aragon Network DAO is fascinating, and using the Aragon stack, do you foresee it being sort of open to other communities to be able to use the framework that we're building and build on top of the similar framework that you're sort of hypothesizing about now?
Yeah, absolutely. Big part of the intention of having these DAO and running it first as an experiment and then growing with it is to become our own client and dog food, or as a friend, Antoine, who's actually works with us, will say, to drink our own champagne. And so the idea would be that, I mean, this is built with Aragon technology, will be iterated with Aragon technology, will of course open up a platform for all kind of integrations, the leveraging composability, one of the biggest assets of Web3. But we can also think of making this as a set template for anyone who would like to just copy paste the model as it is. Brilliant.
Well, Ramon, Daniel, thank you very much for both coming and presenting. It was great to have you both on, and I think everyone will have enjoyed both presentations, Ramon ANJ and Daniel, on the thinking around next steps for the Aragon Network DAO, which is a really exciting project, and I'm sure everyone will be looking forward to the documents that you're going to share there. But no, both, thank you very much. And anyone who has any follow-up questions for Ramon and Daniel, you can add them into any of the channels. Best one, though, is probably general on Discord. Ramon, Daniel, hope you have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for hosting. Thanks for everything. And just again, community, feel free to reach out to us in Discord, tag us, just drop questions, and let's build this thing together.
Okay,
brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Simon.
Good to see you. Take care.
Bye.
And I am going to run through just a few quick announcements that we've had over the last month. So first up, you will have seen that we've had some fantastic new pieces of content. And I'm really excited about all the content that's coming up as well. So make sure you follow the blog. I just wanted to flag this article as well, which is How to DAO Answers for Beginners. If you have ever tried to explain a DAO to a family member or friend, this should definitely be your first port of call. I know that I've been sharing it with a number of family members and friends, and they've all found it incredibly helpful. And I know that there's a lot more articles like this coming out, so make sure you follow Twitter and follow the blog. And if you are liking the articles, let us know, and let us know if there's anything you would like to see written about as well. Next up, we've welcomed a number of new Aragon members to the Aragon family over the past month. And as you'll see, we're running through all the blogs. So you'll see an introduction to each new member on the blog. And it's a real pleasure for us to welcome so many new members. And I know they've all had a huge impact. And further to that, you'll see on the Aragon careers page, we at the moment have 13 positions open. We're really looking to fill those as quickly as possible. Beauty of the roles is they're all fully remote, so you can do them from anywhere. And we're asking for your help. If you think that you'd be interested, please apply, obviously. And if you know anyone that you think would be a good fit and is looking for that next challenge, let them know where to find us, introduce them to us, or just send them the link and ask them to apply. But don't worry, that's not the only way that you can get involved with the Aragon project. We're also looking for ambassadors to help Aragon grow around the world in every country. And we've already had the first ambassadors apply, and I know we're reaching out to them all. But this is an open application. If you want to run an event, if you want to become a moderator, if you want to just become more involved in the project, you will find the application on aragon.org/ambassadors. If you have any questions, again, get in touch on Discord. We're happy to answer them, and we want as many people as possible in as many countries to be involved in spreading the word about Aragon and the beauty of DAOs. But without further ado, thank you so much for joining us today. I just want to thank Ramon and Daniel again for their presentations. I thought they were really, really insightful, really excited about all the product updates that we've had and the AN DAO, which is going to be coming soon. A few final points. Next call is going to be on September 1st, so please join us then. Again, if you want to stay up to date with when that call is going to be and get a notification, subscribe to the YouTube channel. In the description, you will see a type form. If you want to leave us a feedback on this call, we'd really appreciate it. Let us know how we can improve. Let us know what you liked. But apart from that, I just want to say thank you all again for joining. Please join us on all our channels and help us grow the Aragon community as much as possible. But thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you all again next month.